Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark with the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1928 silent drama The Docks of New York. Hey, that's not fair. You haven't even heard my review yet. You have no idea if it's going to be that ridiculous or funny. If this is your first time joining me, I'm reviewing every movie in this book, The 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. The Docks of New York was directed by Joseph von Sternberg, who was a very famous director during the silent movie era. It stars George Bancroft as Bill, Betty Compson as May, and Olga Balkanova as Lou. Now, when this movie opens up, we are introduced to the two main characters of Andy and Bill. Andy is a bit of a bully, and he is the third engineer on this ship of which both of them work. Bill is a coal stoker. Now, they work incredibly hard, physically demanding jobs in which they are left with soot and sweat and grease and oil all over their bodies after a hard day of labor. They have really no upward momentum in their profession, no upward momentum in life. They live very depressing, very difficult existences in which they really have no joy and no happiness, and they basically seek happiness in the form of women, but not in like long relationships, but in kind of like one night stands where they can feel something for a short period of time and then get back to work because they have no time in their busy lives for long-term relationships, and it's a really hard existence that they're living. And they do a very good job in this movie of painting the atmosphere and the mood through the use of lighting and fog and shadows. There's tons of fog in this movie, and you would expect that in a movie about a dock on New York, and it just does an amazing job at painting the grittiness and the idea that there is just no hope here in this town with these workers. Now, when we are first introduced to Andy, he is getting off of his shift and he is going to this tavern in which a lot of people go to have their one-night stands and kind of get their jollies. And when he gets there, he sees his wife, and his wife is clearly cheating on him. He's been away for a long time, and she even says, hey, like, you've been gone forever, like, what did you expect me to do? And he doesn't seem that moved by it. He doesn't seem like he really cares. I think this is also part of him losing kind of hope and in his life and not really feeling really anything. So the main focus on this part is Lou. Lou is a very prominent figure in this movie, and she will be huge later on. So after this, we go back to Bill's character. Bill is walking along a dock, and he sees May jump into this river trying to commit suicide. He saves her, he grabs her, he carries her up to this room, which Lou also comes up to kind of tend to her. And when we get up to this room, we learn that she really wanted to die. She says, like, you should have just let me die, you shouldn't have saved me. And you can also tell that she is in the same mental space, the same mindset, where she is just over life. She has no joy, she has no love. All the men that she's been with have kind of just used her and tossed her away. There's been no one there who has been there long term, and she's lonely, she's depressed, just like Bill, who we also feel like is a bit lonely in his life. He lives a very lonely existence. These are two lonely people who are just having a hard time getting through and just kind of going through the motions. So later on in the movie, May and Bill go down to the tavern and they start talking. Bill starts showing off his tattoos that he has on his arm and talking about the women that he's been with his life, and kind of brags about the women he's been with and all the kind of relationships that he's had. They've all been short term, and May says, well, haven't you ever been married? And he's like, who would want to marry a guy like me? You know, the kind of guy who's gruff, he's gritty, he is not really the romantic type, kind of, and he's constantly at work, he's never able to be at home, and he believes that he's just not the marrying type. Then when we get to May, she also talks about kind of the relationships that she's had in life where she's not really proud of her relationships, where it seems like Bill was proud of what he was doing, but she's been with these guys who have been short term, who have been terrible to her. They haven't lasted. She's not happy with the decisions that she's made, which is why she tried to commit suicide. She's very lonely. And he asked the same question, well, were you ever married? She has the same answer, like, who would marry a girl like me? Earlier in the movie, when he saves her, he also goes to a clothing store that's closed at night and steals a bunch of clothes for her, which will also be important later. So they're striking up this conversation where they're both kind of like, oh, I'm not the like, no one would ever want to marry me. I'm not the marrying type. And then Bill just comes out and says, like, I'll marry you right now. And he proposes to her, and the whole tavern like lights up and starts cheering. Some of them are cheering, some of them are laughing. I don't think they really believe that this is going to happen. The relationship between May and Bill, I wasn't really feeling it. But then I sat back and I got to thinking about it, and these are really just two lonely people who are just looking for something to hold on to, looking for something to grab onto. I feel like it's harder to see that with Bill because he is so gruff, and you really don't get to inside of his head that much. I feel like you don't really get inside of his heart and really get to feel like what type of person this is until sort of the end of the movie. He's always kind of reserved and guarded, like he is anticipating his heart being broken, like he's anticipating something happening that's going to kind of destroy his entire world. So he's very much guarded and he has a shield around him. Whereas May, it seems like she is more enthusiastic about this, and maybe she is a little more hopeful that this could actually happen and they could actually have some sort of relationship. So they end up getting a preacher and getting married for like one night. It's like a one night thing where they end up sleeping together, I believe, and then he has to go off onto the ship the next day. So I don't know if he meant this to be like a one-night stand, but it ends up kind of being like a one-night stand, but they are supposed to be technically married, though they never got the marriage license signed. So once he goes off to the ship, Andy sees that she is all alone. Now, earlier in the movie, Andy tried to make a move on her, and Bill kind of roughed him up a little bit and was like, that's my girl, don't try to make a move on her. But now with Bill out of the way, Andy tries to basically go into her room and force himself upon her when she doesn't want to be with Andy. Now, Lou sees this, and she goes up to the room, and a tussle happens that's off screen. You don't actually see what's going on inside the room, but then we see that Andy is dead, and immediately this is blamed on May, who was in the room at the time, because old Lou kind of was able to exit the room and not be seen. Now, Bill sees this as he's leaving, and he goes up to defend her and says, look, that's my wife, she would never do anything like this. And then Lou steps up and says, I killed him, no one else is going to take credit for it, he's a cheat, he's a scoundrel, he's run out on me, even though she also cheated on him. So like, he was clearly going to go and try to rape May, but she has also cheated on him. But I mean, obviously her relationships were not of the rapey kind, so I could see her argument here, like he was trying to do this terrible thing to a woman, so I killed him. So she ends up going to prison, and then once Andy's taken care of, Bill goes back onto the ship where he starts to work, and he works a little bit, but you can tell that May is on his mind. He's not really thinking clearly about what he's doing, and he ends up quitting because there's like this final straw thing, and he ends up quitting, and he goes to find May, and he asks the entire town, like, where is she? What happened to her? And apparently she was arrested because those clothes that he stole for her earlier from that dress store, she was caught wearing them, and she was accused of stealing them, so she is on trial. He goes into the courtroom. He's like, I took those duds, it wasn't her, like, you should put me in prison. And they end up like throwing the book at him, and they put him in prison. And he says to May, he's like, well, I hope you'll wait for me when I get out. And she says, like, oh, I guess I'll wait forever. At the end of the day, this was a very great love story, I feel like, between the two of them. It was incredibly rushed. I mean, even for a movie, this was a very rushed relationship, but it's also two people who you feel like they're not going to find anyone else. This was a two ships in the night type of thing that found each other, and who knows if they actually did love each other, but there was enough feeling and raw emotion there and loneliness there to keep them together and to put them together. So at the end of the day, it is a pretty good relationship between the two of them. It's not the greatest love story ever told, but the cinematography, I think, here is the star of the movie, along with the way these two stars depict loneliness. It's just the use of the lighting and the shadows and the fog that's absolutely amazing. It's a visually stunning movie. There's something about this movie, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this movie that keeps it from being great. I feel like it's on the cusp of being great, but there's just something there. I don't know if it's just how fast this relationship moved. There was not enough build up to it. And there wasn't enough romance for me in this movie. I prefer a movie with at least like some romance, and it wasn't really there. I feel like it was lacking a little bit, but there was just something that makes this movie good and not great, but I still really enjoyed it. The later half of the 1920s, this is kind of the end of the silent movie era, is proving to be exceptional, where these directors and the cinematographers, they really honed in on their craft. They really figured out what to do as far as setting an atmosphere and mood, as far as getting these actors to do what they want to do. You can really see that they've honed in on their craft and they figured it out, and they did a really good job here. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I hope you join me next time when I review The Passion of Joan of Arc. Thank you. Have a great day.